On July 29th, Central Library played host to a special GenCon event featuring young adult adventure author Alane Adams. In addition to signing copies of her new book, The Red Sun, the first in a series called Legends of Orkney, Adams devoted time to young ones in attendance by reading from her works and speaking about the importance of reading.
But there's another amazing superpower that you can only get by reading a book. Now, has anybody ever read a book about space travel, science fiction, flying to the moon? Have you ever flown to the moon? Well, yeah, not so much, right? But when you read a book, you get to escape. Wherever you are right now, when you pick up a book, suddenly you're no longer in that room. You're no longer in your bedroom or in school or sitting right in the grass somewhere reading the book. You are taken into this other world, and it may be a book about space travel, and all of a sudden you are traveling through space, or maybe you're traveling through time. You're reading a book about history. You're reading a book about what it was like to live in the days of the frontier land, or what it was like to live in the days of the 1960s or the 1980s, or maybe just a fantasy realm. What would it be like to live in a place where magic existed? What would that be like? And when you read books, right? When you read books, what happens is your brain develops this amazing superpower, the most powerful superpower of all. Does anybody know what it is? The most amazing, powerful superpower of all. What do you think it is? Reading gives you. What do you think? Imagination. Imagination, right? Imagination. The Red Sun is based on Norse mythology. I call it like Percy Jackson meets Norse mythology. So I had said earlier, I wrote this book for my 12-year-old son who really had a passion for reading books like the Percy Jackson series. And since he used a lot of the Greek mythology in his series, I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to use some of the Norse mythology, some of the stuff that maybe you don't see all the time. Like a lot of people are very familiar with Thor from the Avengers series, but I try to stay away from the tired old Norse characters, and I use a lot of really interesting elements of Odin. For example, as you can see, I have this giant 7-foot bear standing next to me. You just don't see that every day. But one of the forms that Odin took in mythology was in the form of Brunin, a giant warrior bear that he took. And so I have to have a lot of fun with the mythology and weave in a lot of really interesting elements that we haven't seen before. In this book I wrote for my son, and we just had the best time coming up with different ideas and putting it together. So it was really a passion project and something that I really had a lot of fun doing with him and for him. And now I get I get to go out like places like the Indianapolis Library and read book to the kids and talk to them about reading. And that's really the best part of my job as a writer, is going out to the kids and talking to them, getting them excited about reading, not only my book, but hopefully just foster a love of reading.
Adams is not only an award-winning author, but also a professor, social entrepreneur, and founder of the Rise Up Foundation, dedicated to improving literacy in children.
For me, it's really all about the books. You know, kids that sit down and read books cover to cover are the ones that develop their imaginations and go on, I think, to be very successful in life. So as I said in my talk, I really believe that reading is a superpower, and the only way you can be able to facilitate in kids, maybe that can't afford to go out and get their own books or have the ability to access a lot of different books, is to have a really high quality library like you guys have. And so I was really to be able to have my foundation, the Rise Up Foundation, come up with a donation and to be able to tie it to the work that we're doing here in Indianapolis.
Through her Rise Up Foundation, Adams donated $5,000 to the Indianapolis Public Library Foundation for children's programming, half of which was generated as a match for every person who played the author's free downloadable mobile game, Battlecasters, during GenCon in Indianapolis. To learn more about Alane Adams Literacy Foundation, go to riseupfoundation.org.